What's up, kid migraine and virus survivors? It is I, the OGGM, with another grumpy guide to all things gaming. Mega Dungeon March. Again, I'm going to be quick because the pain in the head is just too much. But didn't want to leave you hanging, so let's return to our time-traveling pyramid that we discussed the other day. So, we've got our classic Egyptian mummy, jackal man stuff over here. We've got our elemental node over here. And up here, we've got the labs. And over here is the time labs. And here is the nano labs. And in the center is this weird time warp engine that sent it back in time. Then up here we have the living quarters, or what this thing was before it went back in time. So we've got the main idea, we've got the factions, we've got the flow. But the one thing, one of the many things, but one of the main things about mega dungeons, or this style of dungeons opposed to a linear dungeon, is the rule of Gonzo. So let's go over the rule of Gonzo, or the rule of weird. And the rule of weird says that in designing this type of scenario, designing a mega dungeon or a crazy dungeon or a Gonzo dungeon or whatever you want to call this, you can throw in stuff that you can't put in your linear point A to point B 5 things dungeon. There's stuff that you can't do in Saltmarsh that you can do in here. You can throw in whatever you want because it's a mega dungeon. It's huge. There's this sort of this general atmosphere of weird. So if you want to throw in something weird that has nothing to do with the plot and you're not sure whether they're ever going to see it or not, but if a hallway of singing skulls is something you've always wanted to see in a dungeon, sure, throw it in. So to show you one example of the rule of cool, here's a room that's going to be in our Egyptian-themed area. And it has nothing to do with the plot. It's an homage to White Plume Mountain, and it's just going to be this big cavern, which, why is this here? It doesn't have to be, well, I don't know, why not? And there's going to be these pillars that are sticking out of the unfathomable darkness, and, you know, they have to hop from one pillar to another pillar. And down at the bottom is living this giant purple worm, giant snake, another giant snake that'll snap at them. And maybe there's some bats flying around here too, or some little drones, or who knows. And one thing I always thought would be cool is if you had one of these big cavern encounters, and I know they did this in one dungeon, I don't remember which dungeon, but would it be interesting if there was somebody who was like charging people to help them get across this big, you know, huge cavern, like, you know, some enterprising goblin has captured a gaseous spore and he's offering hot air balloon rides from one end to the other using the gaseous spore as the hot air balloon. And I think that was in another dungeon. I don't remember which one, but it's just such a weird, iconic image that I would love to throw it in. I would love to have, you know, it's just so cool, and it needs to show up, you know, in as many dungeons. You know, if you have a big, gigantic cavern that's no reason to be there whatsoever, unfathomable Minecraft levels of height and darkness, and, you know, lava pouring out from the ceiling for no reason whatsoever, and there's this giant snake. Wouldn't it be cool if there was just one little enterprising goblin or whatever who's offering you hot air balloon rides from one end to the other? Or not. I mean, but our main thing is just this weird Gonzo pillars and this giant snake. And how are our heroes gonna get across? And do they climb down? You know, and do they like build a bridge? You know, and obviously flight spells can make everything easier, you know, because if you can fly and Didor or whatever, that's why you throw in the bats to attack the flyers. And, you know, obviously there's got to be a reward, so there should be like a big treasure down here. All the victims of our giant snake, you know, is all down here for them to rob if they can figure out how to get down there. But see, this is a perfect example of the rule of Gonzo that you can throw into this type of scenario that you can't throw in to a normal dungeon. You can't put this in a normal dungeon unless you're like running Undermountain or the Underdark. But if it's just a regular, everyday, normal, point A to point B, 5 things dungeon, then yeah, there's this ridiculous Gonzo giant cavern. But in a mega dungeon, why not? It makes perfect sense because there's wild magic and temporal vortexes and dimensional holes, and this thing has been around forever, and there's all sorts of weird wizardy experiments going on, and who knows? Who knows? We don't have to explain this because it is explained by the fact that you are in a mega dungeon, so this wacky room is okay. If the party runs into a bunch of cowboys and World War II soldiers and clowns with chainsaws, and you want that level of first edition Gonzo in your dungeon, and they come across a computer terminal, and a portal to the Isle of Sandwiches, why not? Because it's okay. The rule of Gonzo says that in a mega dungeon, you could put in whatever wacky crap you want. It can fit the story. It doesn't have to fit the story as long as it doesn't destroy the dungeon. Why not? If you want a giant Minecraft cavern with lava and an enterprising goblin with a hot air balloon, why not? Go for it. The rule of Gonzo says so. So that's going to be one of the encounters in our Egyptian section because nothing says Egypt like giant snake guarding ancient pillars and treasure. Am I going to use the goblin with the balloon? Probably not. That's a little too silly and it doesn't really fit the theme, but it is a fun encounter. And if you're ever doing a big underground thingy, throw in our little goblin friend. Again, I don't remember what module it was from, but I know it exists. And it's just such a fun image. Anyways, that's it for tonight because my head can't stand talking much longer. I will talk to you losers later.